Welcome to the Quincy Armstrong Show. My name is Quincy Armstrong, and every year about this time, I have the great honor of interviewing celebrated personalities from throughout history. Now this year, we have decided to do a little bit something different. Instead of interviewing people from the past, we will be talking to present-day movers and shakers within the local community. Now, in celebration of the Black History Month, we are featuring one of the most recognizable symbols of Black culture and commerce in the Lynchburg area. Yes, this year we are paying tribute to the historic 5th Street District. Now that was once considered a gateway to the West because back in the day, it connected the growing Lynchburg area with points westward. Now, during this heyday, 5th Street served as the health, medical, and legal services district for the Black community with more than 24 Black physicians, dentists, pharmacists, and lawyers practicing on the streets. For dining and entertainment, one only had to walk a few blocks for all varieties of social engagement and culturally influenced culinary delights. And even at the end of your journey, the funeral homes ensured your safe transition into the next life. Now, if you were Black, 5th Street was the one-stop shop for all your needs. If you couldn't get up on the block, you didn't need it. During the month of February, we'll be airing this 4-part docuseries on Sundays at 3 p.m. on the Public Access Channel 15 with a new episode premiering each Sunday throughout the month. Once available, you can also catch all the episodes of the series at any time on the Park and Recreation YouTube channel. So journey with us as we explore the iconic 5th Street District as seen throughout the eyes of those who lived, worked, and played there.
Black people have always taken pride in their appearance. Just look at some of the vintage photos from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. You won't see an unstitched hem or hair out of place. We worked hard Monday through Friday, but come week's end, we washed off the frustrations and indignities of the weekday and put on our Sunday best. We scoured the latest Ebony and Jet magazines to determine the trends of the day and did our best to emulate them. The beauty salons and barbershops were, and to a large degree, still are, the places where people congregate to talk about current events, sports, politics, and maybe even share a bit of local gossip. Wilson's Barbershop and Nubian City are two of the hair shops that have serviced the Black community for many years and, to this day, continue to keep those edges trimmed and those braids tightened. In this episode, these two visionaries discuss how they got started, how their businesses have evolved over the years, and their cultural impact on the community.
Well, 5th Street is where I started cutting hair. And at one time, it wasn't but 1, 2, 3, it wasn't but 5 shops, 6 shops in the whole city. And I was fortunate enough to become one of them. Well, I can't tell you how it evolved, but I can tell you it was the most, I would say, the most sought after white barbershop in the city, but it was all Black barbers that only cut white hair. And then there was Arnold Johnson, he opened up his down on Main Street, right there at the bridge. And he cut predominantly white hair. And when I went to Merman's, I integrated Merman's, per se. Okay. And because my Black clientele followed me there, which caused some controversy because Merman, being Black himself, didn't really want the Black trade to come into his white barbershop. But to no avail, we were able to overcome that. And when I left, they followed me because Merman himself, being Black, couldn't cut Black hair.
What's the difference between cutting Black hair and cutting white hair?
Well, for me, either one of them is easy, but...
Are there differences in the patterns?
Well, you know, no, there's not. Well, no, it's no difference in the patterns. It's a difference in the technique.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly with the white hair, you know, back in the day, it was just shears and a comb and somewhat clipper and comb, over comb. And black hair, you more or less adjustable clippers or blade clippers, and it's mostly done closer. You know, white hair was done in layers, and black hair it was done different. It was done closer with either a guard clipper or with a just a clipper, adjustable clipper itself. When I started cutting hair, haircuts were $1 and shaves were 75 cents. And it gradually went to $1.25, and shaves went to $1. And that down at Merman's now, when I first started with Merman, I think that was about 60, when I first came from the military, that was about 69. When I started with Merman's, I think that haircuts down there were $3.50 and shaves were $1.75. So I was working at Cosmopolitan Barbershop when I went down to Merman's. And that was run by a person named Joe Dews and Reverend A.J. Sherrill. They were black barbers. In fact, the picture that's behind you right there is a picture of Walker's Barbershop that was bought out by Theodore Burton. That was on 12th Street.
When you hire barbers, what do you look for in a barber? Because you have a reputation to maintain.
Well, really, I look for someone that's interested and that's ambitious enough to want to work, really.
How do you determine that?
Then myself or my son, if they can do the work and you know, they have to come through both of us. If I know what they can do, you know, most barbers nowadays, they that I see now, they usually be already somewhat trained, and I can help them with the rest of it. We have a versatile clientele. I mean, we have some white, some black, and it's and you know, we got quite a few children. You know.
Okay. Yeah. What's the challenge with children? How do you get them to stay calm?
Well, it depends on the parents most of the time. You know, and most children, I have a pretty good rapport with them. You know, most of our clientele, I've got a pretty good rapport with them. You know, we don't just start out just cutting the hair. We try to befriend them. You know, and yeah, and try to have a you know somewhat of a relationship with them, other than just set them up here and cut their hair. Now we don't just have white, black. We've got a lot of the Indian trade. Yeah.
I didn't even know there were
Yeah, I mean,
that many Indians around. About Native American Indians?
No. I'm talking about like from Pakistan, okay. From Syria.
Wow.
I mean,
they hear about you?
Well, my son's got it on what, Facebook, Lewis? Yeah. And you know, Google, and we, you know, I sold another business of ours, which was a grocery business, to some Pakistanis, and we just developed a relationship, and they just passed us on. Well, I was in retail records. I was in the grocery business, the hair business. I sold automobiles. Well, you know, back in the 70s, 60s, late 60s, early 70s, black folks were wearing afros, and I had a young child to support. So I had to do something. So I sold cars, drove a school bus. I did quite a few things to stay here.
You sound pretty ambitious.
I was, and I still am.
I can tell. I can tell.
Well, see, I told you then, I cut hair in an all, you know, it's a predominantly white barbershop that was owned by blacks. Mm-hmm. So I had a rapport with white folks as well as black folks. And but Fifth Street, everybody has always gave it a you know, bad place to be. But Fifth Street has been really receptive to everybody. You know, I mean, people then, I mean, they did a lot of times. When I remember years ago, when white people would come through the street and you could hear the doors go click, click. But nowadays you see them walking up and down the street. So evidently it has evolved. Yeah. You know. And I don't think here in the city of Lynchburg, racism, there were racists, but racism to a certain degree, I don't think that, because they're black racists and they're white racists, and I don't think that we had as much as, the people around, the individuals here in the city. The people that came from outside brought a lot of it, like if they said the Klan was coming to town, other folks would come to town as well. It has been. I remember when Dr. King came to town, Jesse Jackson came to town. They went to Court Street Church, E.C. Glass, and like I said, Fifth Street and 12th Street there was predominantly black, but there was also a street that's being omitted, which is 9th Street. Ninth Street, the lower 9th Street of Maine, that was black. And the Carters owned the restaurant down there. The Andersons had the barbershop down there. Gene Campbell had the pool room down there. Back then, since then, that's where Amazement Square and all of those buildings are still there. And then my nephew, he has where the old Vogue building was, which is the Parlor barbershop, where the old Vogue building was, but right down below that was all black. Yeah, yeah. And the Carter sisters that used to own, they also had a black hotel down there. There was a black hotel on Fifth Street because we couldn't go to the white hotel. Black folks we also had Kids Tourist Home. Okay, that's over on Taylor Street. And they had the hotel here on Fifth Street, Dumas, I think it was. It's at Fifth and Jackson. Yeah, the Harrison was the theater. And then the Carters had a small hotel down on 9th Street. And they had the restaurant down there. Later on, and Ms. I.B., and then there were restaurants on the left and the right side of Fifth Street in the 900 block. And then you came on down here because, see, this block was somewhat white until, I would say, until Miss Selma Sims had a beauty salon in this building. She was the only black in the building that I owned next door. Was a fish market, okay, and where Jericho is now that I sold them. At that time, that was where Snow owned a refrigeration, and that was all white in that, and there, except for here, Miss Sims came in here. And opened up a beauty salon and a florist. And then right next door, that was the fish market. Then below my building next door, there was a restaurant, and that was on the corner, and over on that side of the street was Art Craft Printing Company, where the parking lot is. That was white. All of this, the 600 block was white. The 500 block was predominantly white, owned by white. I was the first black to own in this block, and I still own. I was able to, I did a majority of things because it took a whole lot to raise my kids. Like I said, I did a lot of things because, black folks were wearing afros in the late 60s and 70s. And that meant they weren't coming to the barbershop.
They weren't coming to get them shaped
No,
up?
they weren't even coming. No. They weren't coming to get them shaped up as often.
Oh, okay.
No, as often. And then, we had, no, they weren't. And like I told you, I drove a school bus, I sold cars, I sold records. And I sold radio. I did a whole lot of things. I had to migrate into other things in order to give my family the lifestyle that I wanted them to have. Oh, absolutely. Darryl Strawberry came through here. Dwight Gooden came through here. Lee May, Carlos May. These were baseball players. Darrell Green came through here. And still today, Jim Mitchell from Lynchburg, well, which was Lynchburg Ford at that time. I mean, he still comes today. And I think Jim came here 30 years ago and he's still coming. I'll tell you the story about Jim. His, when I first met Jim, his hair was long and his money was short. Now I've cut all his hair off and his money is long.
So how much longer do you continue planting?
I don't know, as long as my son let me stay here.
Oh, okay. All right, so it's up to him.
As long as he lets me stay here. Well, I can tell you, I don't get wet, I don't get cold. I enjoy people, and my son and I, we got a pretty good relationship. So I'm going to be here, to back him up. That's one thing I'm going to probably stipulate, that if he do sell to somebody, I hope he can find somebody. If he sells or we don't sell, I hope he can find somebody black to continue to add a little legacy.
What do you want your legacy to be?
I just want it to be that I help somebody. As I moved along, I just wanted to be that I helped my fellow man and I was able to contribute something, because most of the young barbers today, if you look at Joe Early, he started with me. Perry Porter, he started with me, and God rest his soul, Duval Abbott that just died, he started with me. Chopper's been with me all his life. So
you launched quite a few careers.
Absolutely. So that is my legacy. That these guys continue to do well, and if they will help somebody, and the guy behind you, my son, if they can just help somebody as they come through, that's my legacy right there. Within itself, that's a legacy.
Hello, my name is Thais Blanding, owner and operator of Nubian City, and I am Fifth Street. Well, I've been doing hair since I was 9. Nubian City got started 26 years ago on Rivermont Avenue. We were there for 10 years, and then we moved to Fifth Street for 14 years. Just been doing hair, just been loving hair. Actually never knew it was my calling until somebody else saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. That's how Nubian City was born. Fifth Street has just always been so important to the city of Lynchburg. As far as everything being started on Fifth Street, it's always been the black spot. It was everything there: grocery stores, drug stores, restaurants, hospitals, of course the funeral homes, which is the ones that are still standing there. And it was also clubs there. I had no business being there, but I was in a couple of them, like the Sportsman Club. I was too young, but I was there. It's just being on Fifth Street, I've seen so much, and it also lets you know about so much of the community by just who walks up and down Fifth Street. I think it's about time that people are actually realizing their natural beauty, and we don't have to try to conform to someone else's standard of what beauty is. We finally are embracing ourselves. I love it. I love it. When I opened my salon a couple of years, well, over 20 years ago, natural hair was definitely not normal. People were not going for the afro. They weren't going for, especially locks. Oh my goodness. Locks was just not even, no one, especially women, we were not doing that to our hair. But now everyone is embracing their natural beauty. They're not trying to change it. Relaxers is $3 now. You can buy a relaxer for $3. So ain't nobody buying them no more. It's scary. Yeah. It's scary. And I just love the fact that finally people are starting to realize that you don't have to be anybody but yourself. Finally. That's a nasty lie. That's a nasty, funky lie. But yeah, we need our hair clean just as well as everybody else's up. But yeah, if you have traditional locks, being that once you get it shampooed, it's going to loosen up your retightening. So a lot of people don't shampoo theirs but the once a month when they come get it done. But you could shampoo your hair in between. If you have sister locks or micro locks, which are smaller locks, and it's done with the tool, then you can shampoo your hair as often as you want, because that retightening is not going to go away when you shampoo it. We talk about everything. We talk about politics, we talk about religion, even though they tell you those are the things you shouldn't talk about. But it goes on in our community. Whatever hurts us helps us. We talk about everything. We talk about the R. Kelly scandal. We talk about it all. Whatever's going on in the world, it's being discussed in the salon, period. It's not so much as doing hair. It's getting people registered to vote. When Obama first ran for president, I got over 50 people registered to vote, and I was able to be so involved with that part of the politics of it all, things that I didn't even really know about. But that right there opened my eyes to a whole lot of stuff that goes on in the city. If you don't vote local, that's what really matters. And I learned a lot just by really seeing what goes on Fifth Street, seeing the homeless people walk up and down the street. I didn't know that the centers, like some of the houses, they can't be in there all day. They have to come out in the middle of the day. And a lot of times they would sit across the bench right across from the salon on Fifth Street, when we was on Fifth Street. And so we would make sure we had extra food in there to get them sandwiches and stuff. Yeah, so it was a lot of stuff we saw on Fifth Street that we didn't, that if you're not part of the community, you're not going to see it, and you're not going to even know it. During from November to March, I collect coats and blankets for the homeless. We go out sometimes and we feed the homeless. We go to where they are. We don't advertise it. We don't do no Facebook Lives or none of that stuff to show us doing that type of stuff. We just like to be able to help someone that needs help. I think it's being around family. I have a lot of my family that works in here with us as well. That helps. It also keeps me grounded. They tell me all the time to stay in my lane. I'm too old to be knowing some of the stuff I know, but keeping the young people around me helps a lot. And I think that right there also makes it so that we can last longer. Because if you keep hiring people that's your same age, they're not going to teach you nothing. But these young ones will teach you a whole lot. And I think that right there helps the longevity of the salon. We always keep somebody in here new that's going to bring us new things to learn how to do, which makes us learn how to do more things, bring new things to the salon. Right now me and Diamond are going back to school, and we're going to do facials, and we're going to, For the future, a school that's going to be teaching us how to do our hair and how to be able to maintenance our hair. And also a barbershop. We want to be able to do barbering and to do men's facials to help them with their beards, because that's a new phase thing that the men are going through. We're also going to be doing what else? Lashes. Well, we're doing lashes now. It's just the list is too long. We're going to be learning how to do any and everything that's going to bring us more revenue into the salon. We don't want to just be dependent on one source of income. I have everybody. I have little children. I have grown-ups. I have men, women, but the majority of my clients have locks. And I'm proud to say that most of them is a large variety of all of the above. We're right up the street, right behind Subway. That's on Memorial Avenue. We've been here now for a year. Our year was December the 26th. We were sad for the move, but we like this location too. This location is bigger, which gives us opportunity to do more services.